everyone. Welcome to Switchblade Sisters Social Club, the true crime podcast where two friends exploit their worst fears for your entertainment.
You're welcome.
I'm Dee, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Isla from Criminally Good Books, a true crime and crime fiction bookshop in York.
Follow us on all the socials.
Except for X, obviously.
Or have a look at our website, switchbladesisterssocialclub.com.
Check them out for all our latest episodes, events, deals, and other weird stuff.
Listeners' discretion advised.
Hi! Hello! I haven't seen you for ages.
I know. We had a lovely actual physical reunion, didn't we?
We did.
Where we went to CrimeCon in Birmingham.
Thank you, CrimeCon people. You were amazing.
Yep, Nancy and David, and a special shout out to MC, who was our old work colleague and real friend.
Real friend. She knows the joke.
Yeah, she first started working for us. We went for drinks after work, and she let slip that she had to leave soon to go and have drinks with her real friends. So we've never let her live that down. And
Absolutely.
We're proud to say that a good 10, 15 years on from that, we're now her real friends too.
I hope she feels that way.
Mm-hmm. She was by chance in the area, so we convinced her to come along and help us out at CrimeCon, bless her. It was her first CrimeCon. She loved it. So if MC, who's not even that into true crime stuff, can come along to CrimeCon and have a good time, then anyone can.
Well, exactly. It was really, really interesting and really great to hear from like survivors and stuff and other podcasters. We obviously did the books as well and sold books at the event.
Criminally Good Books obviously comes down with all of the books, Criminally Good Books being you, Isla, and you bring along all the speaker books because most of the speakers do book signings, don't they? So you can buy the book and have them signed, which is so cool, isn't it? You know, to meet all these fantastic people, but actually get to them to sign the book, have a chat with them. Most of the speakers are around for the whole day as well. So, you know, you can mingle. And the London one is coming on the 3rd and 4th of October. So that one's a much bigger event.
Huge.
So we'll probably be there. We haven't discussed our logistics, but...
Yes, it'll be a big one.
And it was lovely. Well, today is a big day. The time has come.
For what?
People will know a couple of weeks of a mid-season break where... Well, I didn't have a break because I did some debrief episodes. And you didn't have a break either because you had a bunch of stuff that you were super busy with. So
yeah, lots of events with work.
And you've got a really cool one coming up in July, haven't you? You were just telling me.
Yeah, we've got Lisa Jewell. So Lisa Jewell is an amazing psychological thriller author. If you know your psychological thrillers, Lisa Jewell is right at the top of that list.
The one. And she's the chair of Harrogate this year.
Yep.
Harrogate Crime Festival, which is the other festival that we love to go to every year. So you've got an event in July. So everyone go to the website and have a look at that.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have come back from our mid-season break with an episode as told by I Love Criminally Good Books.
Absolutely. And it's a sad one. I mean, a lot of them are sad, but this one is very, very sad. Unfortunately, Dee.
Okay, well, I will switch gears because that was just me being super excited about you telling me a case.
You were really excited.
I am.
Yeah, this one is super, super, super sad. Would you like me to get into it?
Yeah, I would.
So I'm going to kind of do this one a little bit differently. So I'm not going to go through any of the sources until we get to the point that I can reveal them. And it's not like a really long episode. So we'll see. We'll see what you think when we go through it. And it's also one where you look at the convictions that have happened, and after several years have passed since these people have been convicted, you think, not were they innocent, but do they deserve that sentencing? Was the sentencing just? Because it's quite in the public domain, they're still in prison. Would that still be the case if it wasn't so public? Lots of things to discuss afterwards, but the reasons why these people were convicted were horrific.
Okay. Well, that's interesting off the back of my debrief from last week, where I talked a bit about how public pressure and media attention does really influence how much money goes into the case.
Oh, absolutely.
And what the convictions are like, you know? So yeah, very interesting. I am ready.
Okay, you're ready. So we're in America. It's the summer of 1975. We're in Colorado Springs. Let me know if you get any kind of, you're like, oh, I recognize this one. Lovely hot summer. Everyone's happy. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's having a great time. It's summer. People are going to uni. People are, just having a great time, getting ready for their lives to begin. I'm going to talk to you about a killing spree, unfortunately, that happened between June the 19th, 1975, and July the 1st, 1975. So it was like a less than 2 week killing spree that terrorized this community. Now I'm going to talk about the three victims, and then I'm going to go into what kind of happened and just take it from there.
So obviously the difference between a spree killing, because you just said three victims,
yeah,
and a serial killer. The main difference is the cooling down period between the victims. So this seems to be quite close together. Obviously, I know nothing about this case yet. I don't even know what case it is, but it's just that you called it a spree killing and then talked about three victims. The reason why that wouldn't be considered a serial killer is because in the same way that if someone does like a mass shooting, they're not thought of as a serial killer. Because the serial killer sort of, the tension builds, they kill, and then they have a cooling off period where they go back to, in quotation marks, their normal life. And then the cycle starts again. A spree killing is sort of boom, 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 back to back. And then a mass killing is all at the same time. So that's slightly different. So what you're saying is this wasn't someone considered a serial killer, but a spree killer.
Absolutely.
It's a totally different motivation, basically, because it's someone that's in some way snapped and gone on a rampage, kind of.
And you'll see why this is a killing spree over, like, serial killer and stuff. So there was a killing spree in Colorado Springs in the summer of 1975, and the victims were Daniel Vanlin. He was a cook who worked at the Four Seasons Hotel, and he was only 29. Winfred Profit, who was a soldier. He was only 19 and recently married to his 19-year-old wife. And then there was Karen Grammer, who she worked in the Red Lobster, which was a restaurant. She was a waitress. Three different people, entirely different, not entirely different motivations, which I'll go into. So let's go into the three pieces of shit that were involved in this killing spree. On June the 19th, 1975, Freddie Glenn, who was a civilian employee at Fort Carson. Fort Carson is a US military base. So he wasn't a soldier, he was a civilian employee. He, along with Michael Corbett, who was a soldier, and another soldier, Larry Dunn, who was a little bit older, he had been in the Vietnam War, they kidnapped Daniel Van Loan, the 29-year-old cook. He was leaving his job at the Four Seasons Motor Inn. Not the hotel, sorry. It's slightly different from what I said. Four Seasons Motor Inn.
Yeah, Four Seasons and then Four Seasons motel, basically.
I'm taking you to the Four Seasons. Oh,
ooh, the Motor Inn.
Exactly. So slightly different there, Isla. They intended to rob him and they drove him to a remote area. Glenn waited in the car. He was the driver. And Corbett and Dunn to the two soldiers. So this is the not key distinction here, but I think it's good to have this in your mind. There's three perpetrators. Glenn was the younger one. He was a civilian employee at the army base. And then you've got two soldiers
trained in combat.
Soldiers trained in combat.
I already find it bizarre that they're trying to rob a chef from a motel, basically. How much money did they think this guy had on him? You know,
not a lot, Dee. When you think about those killings and you're like, what was the point? There's no point in any killing.
No.
But when you think that they got so little from this,
God, it's going to be like $29 or something, isn't it?
It's horrific. So they take him away from this, we're going to say motel inn. They make him lie on the ground, and then Corbett, one of the soldiers, shoots him in the head. You want to know how much they stole from him? What did you say there?
$29.
You know what he had on him? 50 cents. 50 cents. Less than $1. Less than $1. Absolutely horrific, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. He supposedly begged for his life. I will go into some other bits on this particular killing. In a nutshell, they got 50 cents from him and they ended his life. 8 days later, so there is a period of time, 8 days later, Freddie Glenn, who was the one that was driving everyone. So Freddie, just to say, Freddie Glenn, it's a bit unusual because at the time, and this is 1975, he's a civilian, he had his own car. So he was like kind of driving around all these soldiers and like everyone kind of wanted to be his friend because he had his own wheels type thing. So Glenn and Corbett met a young man called Winfred Profit, and he was 19 and he was a soldier at the same army base, Fort Carson. This victim, Winfred, had been told by them that they could sell him some marijuana. So they basically took him to a remote location, he thought, to buy the marijuana, and Corbett, one of the soldiers, stabbed him with a bayonet. And Corbett had recently been doing bayonet training and he wanted to see what it felt like to kill someone. God. So that's two.
How
down.
He sort of made it sound like he's sort of extending his army training.
Yeah. So the first one, they wanted to rob for money. Second one, he wanted to see how it felt to kill someone. And the third one is the most tragic. I mean, the first two were tragic. The third one is like really, really horrific. And it's the most publicly known one. Have you heard of any of these at all?
I don't think I have.
I mean, you might do when you hear of the next one. So Freddie Glenn and Corbett committed their final and most publicised murder on July the 1st, 1975. Glenn, Corbett and two other men, Larry Dunn, so Larry is the one that is in Vietnam, and then another guy, Eric McLeod. Eric doesn't really come into it that much, but he is mentioned. They decided to rob a Red Lobster restaurant. It's like a chain of restaurants. So they decided to rob this restaurant, but they lost their kind of nerve, if you will, and they left without any money. However, an employee of the restaurant, 8-year-old Karen Grammer, was waiting for her boyfriend to finish work. So she was sat outside.
8-year-old?
18-year-old, sorry.
18. I was like, did she say 8 or 18?
I think I might have said
either way.
Yeah.
Boyfriend sounds...
I know, sounds a bit odd, yeah. So an employee of the restaurant, 18-year-old
18.
Karen Grammer, just waiting for her boyfriend to finish work, and they had, the rest of the day planned. They thought that she might be able to identify them because they went in to rob the place and it was quite clear that they were going to rob it, and then they were acting all shifty and stuff, and they said that they decided to kidnap her because they might be able to identify her. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they then took her in the car and they robbed a local convenience store. They then took her back to one of their apartments where they repeatedly raped her. Now, I'm only mentioning this because this has a lot of bearing on the case and the convictions and then what happens next. They supposedly promised to take her home. So she was pleading for her life, doing everything that they told her to do. But in the end, unfortunately, they put a cloth over her head. They drove her to a mobile home park and they effectively stabbed her over 43 times. They cut her head so much so that she was almost decapitated. They stabbed her through the hand. She actually survived those initial attacks and managed to make it to the front door of one of the trailers. However, she was found the next morning dead, and she'd been trying to reach up to touch one of the doorbells. There was no one in the particular trailer that she was there, that she arrived at. And she was a Jane Doe for a week until her brother, the actor Kelsey Grammer, identified her.
What?
I know.
Did I know that? For those of you who haven't clocked, that's Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier, Cheers actor, huge back catalogue of stuff. And this is why, in many ways, this case, I don't think it's so well known about necessarily.
No, but I have in the back of my head that I vaguely remembered that his sister had been murdered, but knew nothing about it. So it's entered cultural collective consciousness or whatever, right?
Yeah. So my sources now that I can reveal, his recent book is called Karen, A Brother Remembers. Oh. And it's all about a summary of the case and then a detailed briefing on the criminal proceedings. it's actually a memoir as well that he's written. So he's written it in dedication of his sister and about her life and the convictions, but also he struggles with a lot of guilt because he was the older brother and he felt like he couldn't protect her. And she lay for a week with no one knowing who she was. And he carries a lot of grief. And he's kind
That's
of
not your
turned,
fault, Frasier.
no, I know. And he's turned, Kelsey, Frasier, he's turned to like, believes quite kind of spiritually in, he's kind of turned to that to kind of get sort of peace and stuff. And it's honestly, it's heartbreaking. I read the book and also listened to it as well. And
Get him
Kelsey
to come over
Grammer,
for an event.
well, Kelsey Grammer narrates it, and it's just, and he
Oh,
said that when he was writing, he wrote in such a way that he didn't want to edit after he wrote it. So he wrote these raw thoughts and he didn't want to go back and perfect it. And that's what he's done with the narration. So when he's reading it and when he cries, he doesn't then go back and redo it. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. You can imagine anyone reading and talking about something that's so emotive and emotional, all raw emotion. And it's really good, but it's a hard one. And I've been listening to this and reading it for like about 4 weeks now. It's just really, really heartbreaking. It really is.
oh, I can't imagine. Poor guy. So he was her older brother and she was 18. How old was he?
I think he was 21. Yeah, he was
Oh,
21.
so young to
So
have to deal with this kind of stuff as well.
it's just horrible. What I'm going to do, I am going to just go into a little bit about Karen. Would you like to see a picture of Karen?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, there are 2 other victims and they deserve to be acknowledged, but I'm going to talk about Karen and the work that Kelsey has done to keep the case alive for all 3 victims.
But also, like, seems like it's totally different motivations, right?
Oh, yeah, completely. So the first one was robbery,
Yeah,
50
like
cents.
very practical in quotation marks,
Yeah, yeah.
logistical killings, whereas the Karen one was a frenzied,
Mm-hmm.
brutal, well, rape and then brutal killing. That was for fun, wasn't it,
Yeah.
for them? Yeah, show me a picture of her. I want to
I'll show
see.
you Karen.
Poor
And then
girl.
what I wanted to do was go through actually the particular evening of what happened to Karen and then go into the kind of the sentencing and everything and then why that's quite relevant because it's still relevant now.
Well, obviously, if he's still writing a book about it, let's.
Yeah. So let me show you the lovely Karen.
Oh, she looks like her brother. I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean she looks like a boy, but you could definitely, if they were standing side by side and you said this is, their
Yeah.
siblings, you'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah. She's just got very like wholesome all-American look about her. It's a black and
Yeah.
white photo, so I can't really talk much about her coloring or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but she just has like really, really cute smile and yeah,
Straight
just
teeth, all American, like long blondie brown hair, just looking to the
yeah,
side. She's just like such a pretty girl. Not that matters. It's just
no.
tragic, isn't it?
And I'm
It's
just
just
thinking like,
absolutely
so what,
horrible.
both she and her boyfriend worked at the Red Lobster?
I'm not sure if he worked there, but certainly she was waiting for him to finish. I'm not sure if he was working. I imagine that he probably was.
Can you imagine? She's 18. She's got a job, so she's got some money coming in. She's got a boyfriend. Like, she must have been like, and July, it's the summer, like you say.
I know.
I can imagine just like vibes being high and like, oh, I've got my whole life ahead of me, you know?
Yep,
And then
completely. And just like
these fucking
happy, happy,
dicks.
happy. Happy, happy, happy. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what Kelsey said about his sister Karen, because obviously the other 2 killings are absolutely horrific, but I want to talk to you about Karen in particular. And then I want to talk to you about how the perpetrators were caught and then their sentencing and then what's kind of happening now. So Karen was born on July the 15th, 1953. She was born Karen Elisa Grammer and she died 2 weeks before her 19th birthday in 1975. Kelsey describes her as an extraordinary person and a light, a woman of immense compassion and insight. He says that she was always brave in her choices. She displayed unfathomable strength throughout her life, but particularly in her final hours, as you will hear. And even as a child, even as the younger sibling, she was the one that taught Kelsey how not to be afraid of the dark, he said.
Oh.
He said that the family never ever expressed love to each other. They were never like, I love you. They were always like, it was partly a generational thing, but just the way that their family were. They knew that they each loved, like they all loved each other, but they never said, I loved you until Karen was the one that changed the family's dynamic. And she insisted that they started saying, I love you out loud to one another. He describes her, I've got a quote here, as the keeper of love and the guardian of the sacred in their home. Like she was the one that like made sure that they said, I love you. And after her death, like they were just constantly saying, I love you and complimenting each other, and like really became an even more kind of wholesome family. He said that she was free spirited. She loved adventure. Her friends at college remember her jumping up and down on her bed, completely naked, playing Leon Russell. I don't know who Leon Russell is, so I should have checked that one out. Can you check? Who's Leon Russell, D?
All right, I'm going to check.
But basically, he was just saying she was just free spirited, happy, like full of life, just, you know, amazing.
Imagine what that woman would have done in her life if she'd managed to make such significant changes in just her family, you know, which, as we know, is not easy to change family dynamics. Leon Russell was an American musician and songwriter who was involved with numerous best-selling records in his 60-year career.
Oh, interesting.
This is a photo where he looks like he's got a part in Oliver and is one of Fagin's boys. And then this is him probably, well, I won't say now because he died in 2016, but later on in life.
He lived a long life then.
There he looks like Dumbledore.
He does look like Dumbledore.
Big white beard.
People are probably listening to this and screaming, Leon bloody Russell!
How do you not know? Because we're very ignorant.
A lot of people like us will be like, I don't know who Leon Russell is. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to go and listen to some Leon Russell later today, just, you know, for fun.
So am I. He got her naked. She wanted to jump around on her bed naked, having fun, playing Leon Russell. So, you know, our friends are like, she was free-spirited. And, you know, Kelsey said that she was funny, intelligent. She had a sardonic smile, he said, great sense of humor. She would make her friends like constantly laugh. Academically, he said that she was highly gifted. And it's not just a brother saying this. She was gifted in geometry. She excelled there, and she graduated as the valedictorian of her high school class. A bit of a description of her, not that her description matters, but it just paints a little bit of a picture. As a child, she had like a pixie haircut, and when she grew up, she had it like long. In the picture that you saw, she wore glasses. Kelsey said that she always looked really serious, and people were maybe a little bit intimidated of her intelligence, but she was just funny, fun-loving, hazel eyes. She loved her grandfather in particular. Kelsey said that she was the center of her grandfather's universe.
Oh.
They would play Monopoly together for hours. She loved the water. She was an excellent swimmer. Her brother called her a water angel. She could row boats. She could surf. She could water ski. Can you imagine at 19 being able to do all that and being so smart? Like she is, like everyone would want to be her friend. She was an excellent card player, playing bridge and rummy, gin rummy for hours with her grandmother. She was known to make the greatest chocolate chip cookies. Like she's just a wholesome. She loved the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Leon Russell, who we know about, and we're going to check out, and James Taylor. Kelsey said that this is the last thing I'll kind of go on about her, but he said that he remembers like she made this amazing kind of dessert drink that they remember and have, which is an Oreo cookie dipped in ice cold Coke. And she invented it because she wanted to have something fizzy and chocolatey with a frozen cream center. So she would have like an frozen Oreo cookie dipped in ice cream Coca-Cola, and then she would eat it. Just like, ooh. But anyway.
All right, I'm going to try it.
Yeah. She was someone that was loved by her family, just full of life. So this is just to give you like how tragic. I mean, it's tragic.
You know, they always say like it's always people that are described so amazingly when they've been murdered, and like I'll never be murdered, because people would just be like, yeah, she was brutally murdered. She was like meh in life.
Meh.
She didn't. She would walk into a room and, you know, meh. It's never that, is it? But
no, exactly.
oh
Yeah.
no,
It's always
I'm
something
sure
amazing
there
about
is a
them.
bit of correlation though between these people attracting. I'm not victim blaming at all, but obviously these people that light up a room are more noticeable.
Yeah, and maybe they just thought, we'll have some fun with her. She seems really interesting, I mean,
Ugh,
who knows?
just
Who
awful.
knows?
Okay.
I'm just going to go into each victim just really briefly, and then I'm going to go into the sentencing. So we talked about Daniel Van Loan, who was the first victim. He was 29, and as I said, he worked at the Four Seasons Inn. He was abducted, as I've said, after he finished his work shift. They wanted to rob him. He was taken to a remote area. He begged for his life, reportedly pleading, "Please don't kill me." And despite his pleas, he was shot in the head. As I said, the motive was robbery, and they only got 50 cents from him.
They must have known really early on that he didn't have much money on him and that they had to
Honestly,
kill
don't
him,
know.
that they had to kill him in quotation marks because he would have been able to identify them.
And then the next victim, as I said, was Winfred Prophet. He was the young soldier. He was 19, recently married to a young woman called Kathy, who was a nurse in the army. So these are two army people, aged 19. I mean, you've got your life ahead of you. So on June the 27th, Winfred Prophet and his young wife, Kathy, and a friend were all lured to the area where they thought they were purchasing marijuana. So Kathy's wife was with them when this happened. So, as I
Winfred's.
said, Michael Corbett was doing bayonet training and he really wanted to see what it was like to kill someone. So, he lunged at Winfred, he stabbed him in the chest, and then he lacerated his liver. Michael Corbett, admitted everything he did and actually said to the police, "I wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone with a knife."
So what happened to the other two, the witnesses, the Winfred's wife, Kathy, and
They survived, and the thing is, after being stabbed, Winfred managed to run to his wife. He was given a 50-50 chance of survival, but he died hours later at the age of 19. And the irony is that actually they had eaten at the Red Lobster only like a couple of weeks before that, before that happened. So it's all in the kind of the same area. So that's the second victim. And then obviously I'm going to go into Karen in just a little bit more detail because as I've
But at
said
that point, did Kathy, was it Kathy, Winfred's wife?
Yeah.
Did they not go to the police and say who had stabbed Winfred?
I'll go into how they
right.
caught them.
Because I'm trying to work out how they're still out
Yep.
and
How they're
able
still out
to.
and about, because that was the 27th of June, and it wasn't until the 1st of July that they went after Karen. I know. Love a good murder? Come visit me, Isla, at Crimley Good Books in York, your one-stop shop for crime fiction and true crime reads, as well as gifts and author events. Or browse online at crimleygoodbooks.co.uk. So, on the 1st of July, Karen Grammer went to collect her paycheck at work. And she was sat outside the Red Lobster where she worked. And she was also waiting for her boyfriend to finish work. And she was approached by Larry Dunn. So Larry is the older soldier, Vietnam one. And another man named Maloud. They were armed with a gun, which was provided by Michael Corbett. So they kidnapped her and took her to Freddie Glenn's car. Freddie, as I said, is the one that was a civilian that had the car. Okay, and this is relevant for what later happens. They actually went to a 7-Eleven, robbed it, and after that they went to an apartment where she was repeatedly raped by Freddie Glenn, Larry Dunn, and this guy McLeod over several hours, all three of them. During the ordeal, she bravely tried to negotiate for her life. This has all come out through various testimony from these individuals. Glenn, however, supposedly insisted on killing her because she could identify them. They drove her blindfolded with a blue scarf towards a trailer park. Larry Dunn testified that Freddie Glenn stabbed her 42 times. and eventually slashed her throat with such force that it nearly decapitated her. That's what I mentioned.
Oh, one of them has said that one of the others was responsible for all of the stabbings.
Correct. So Larry Dunn said that Freddie Glenn stabbed her 42 times. They dumped her, left her for dead, chucked her at the car, and she managed to crawl 400 feet towards an empty trailer where she was trying to seek help. And she died alone on the trailer's doorsteps. She almost reached the doorbell. There was no one in there, sadly.
What I don't understand, if they wanted to kill her because they were worried she would be able to identify them, did they not realize she was still alive when they dumped her? Or
they
were
thought she was dead.
Oh,
okay. Like, I mean, she was almost decapitated. She was stabbed 42 times and she was just left for dead. But she managed to crawl. I mean, even if they thought that life was about to leave her,
she's clearly a fighter.
She was going to die. Like, she was so mortally wounded. And even if that door had been answered,
if she'd rang the doorbell, there wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been anyone in there. And if there had been.
Exactly. Yeah. What could be done? So the reason why they were captured, and this is really interesting, Larry Dunn was actually arrested in New Orleans, and he provided a graphic first-hand account of the murders in exchange for a plea deal against Freddie Glenn and Michael Corbett. Freddie Glenn, the civilian, was convicted of all 3 murders and originally sentenced to death. In 1979, the Colorado Supreme Court commuted his sentence to life in prison after reviewing all the death penalty cases in the area, right? So he, death sentence, now just life in prison. Michael Corbett, who was a soldier, he was convicted for his role as the ringleader and he received a life sentence. Larry Dunn was granted immunity, even though he raped her and was involved in the killing. He was granted immunity for her murder in exchange for his testimony, though he was convicted of the other crimes.
Okay, the other 2 murders, though?
Correct.
Okay. And do we know what he got for that? If it means he only gets convicted for 2 of the 3 murders, but it means they actually get to convict the other 2 evil people of their crimes, then...
Yeah, I mean, Larry Dunn died in prison in 2015.
So he served quite a long period.
Yeah, and he got immunity in exchange for testifying against the others, but he was later convicted of other unrelated crimes and died in prison. So I don't have the details, but I can bring that up in a bit. But he is dead. He is no longer with us, thank goodness. Michael Corbett died in prison in 2019. Larry Dunn died in prison in 2015. Freddie Glenn, however, still remains incarcerated, and he has repeatedly applied for parole. He is now eligible for parole, and he's been eligible for parole for some years, but this is denied every time following the emotional testimony and letters from Kelsey Grammer and other victims' families. So can you imagine? Like, we hear this all the time.
We've talked about
this. It's like, so, in 5 years' time, this is happening, and there's another. And
sometimes it's annual.
It's
these people being able to apply for parole, which means that their jail sentence is still ongoing unless they convince a parole board, that they should be released. And then the family, every year or every couple of years or however often it's set, have to know that the person could potentially come out. And if they feel like stopping it, then they have to do exactly what you said, submit emotional letters, this, that, and the other, basically relive the whole thing all over again. Sometimes they have to actually go to these hearings. So it's like basically a mini trial all over again. Like, it never ends for the families, does it?
No, exactly. Completely. In 2009, Freddie Glenn was denied parole because they received a letter from Karen's brother, actor Kelsey Grammer, who described Glenn as a butcher and a monster. The board also heard testimonies from several other relatives of the victims and from detectives before deciding not to release Glenn from prison. Now, I'm going to read you. So every 5 years, he is up for parole. He was eligible again in 2014, again in 2022, and he will be eligible again next year, 2027. I'm going to read you a letter that Kelsey prepared that went to the parole hearing. But before I do that, I've got Freddie Glenn's side of the story, which is like really interesting. And this is why I wanted to talk about what actually happened to Karen and how horrific it was. And I'm not saying that Freddie's innocent, but the way that it's then portrayed, he's basically saying he was terrified of the other two. So he was the younger guy. He was a civilian. He came from a very broken home. His father was an alcoholic who beat his mother, who raped her. He's saying that he had a car. He found himself as the one that everyone wanted to be his friend. So he's driving them around. He was always the driver. He didn't take part in things. He watched the other two do it. He was scared of them.
I mean, one of them was a Vietnam vet. So, I mean, the amount of kudos he would have had on the campus there, amongst the soldiers, and also the amount of trauma he must have experienced, not making excuses, but,
No.
I can see how there would be a bit of hero worshiping going on, and how he could also use that as like for intimidation purposes and whatever. But also I can see how someone would use that as an excuse.
Mm-hmm. So Larry Dunn was given a reduced sentence because he basically told on the other ones. Freddie Glenn was offered only a 10-year sentence originally if he would tell on the other two, particularly Michael Corbett. So Larry told him Michael Corbett and said that he was the main instigator. Then Freddie Glenn was asked to corroborate that, and he said at the time he refused to do it. So he has got this life sentence. So he refused to say anything. He's now saying because the other two have died in prison that he was petrified of them and he didn't have any part in it apart from driving them round. So in prison, supposedly he's a model citizen. He mentors other prisoners. He's never set a foot wrong. He has all these parole hearings. They've said to him, you seem like a decent human being, but then they keep going back to the original killing. So let me go through what Freddie Glenn has said.
I mean, if your crime is like rape and murder and you're a model prisoner in prison, it's because you've not got the opportunity to abduct a Red Lobster waitress in the prison. Do you know what I mean?
I know. According to Glenn, Larry Dunn abducted Karen Grammer, who was waiting outside the Red Lobster for her boyfriend. They took off in Glenn's car at gunpoint, so he did drive the car. Glenn said that he stayed in the car with Karen Grammer while Dunn and McLeod robbed a 7-Eleven, emerging with $60 in cash and some cheap jewelry. Then they went to McLeod's apartment, according to Glenn, where Grammer was repeatedly sexually assaulted. He said that she did plead for her life, and they then drove her in Glenn's car down a dark alley where she was stabbed in the throat, the back, and the hand, and they dumped her body. Immediately after that, Glenn distanced himself. So his lawyer is saying that he distanced himself from Corbett and Dunn after that night. He moved out of the apartment house that he'd shared with one of them. But then Corbett went on, killed someone else and bragged about it after Karen's murder, and that's how he was found. Corbett shot Winslow Watson III in the face over a stolen loaf of bread, and that's how he was found. And then he then went on and on and on about, the killings.
Wait, what? This guy stole a loaf of bread from him?
I actually don't know.
Again, another stupid reason to kill someone.
Completely. And then Larry Dunn then struck a deal for immunity in exchange for testifying against Corbett and Glenn, in particular Corbett. So Glenn, as I said, he was offered a plea bargain if he would testify specifically against Corbett. The deal would have landed him 10 years in prison, as I said, but he said that he was deathly afraid of Corbett, and he insisted that this was the reason why he agreed to continue to drive him around after the first robbery went bad, and he didn't want to enter the prison system branded as a snitch.
Okay, well, the alternative storyline could be
that they're all fucking guilty.
that he was arrogant enough to think that he was going to be let off and that his friends wouldn't snitch on him. So he was like, as long as we all stick to the story, we'll be fine, man. Little did he know that his pal was making a plea deal
Yeah.
already.
Well, this is the thing completely. So Larry Dunn, he became the star witness against the others. So he's the Vietnam vet one,
Yeah.
despite having participated in the murder of Van Loan, who was the guy that worked in the
One
Four
that they
Seasons.
robbed for 50 cents. Yeah.
Exactly. And the abduction and rape of Grammer. Glenn was convicted of killing Karen Grammer based primarily on Dunn's testimony. So you can see that I don't have any sympathy at all for Freddie Glenn. But if you were to say for one moment that there is a possibility that he was coerced into driving them round, he's a young guy from a not a fantastic background who's got these older soldiers slapping him in the back, saying how great he is, all this kind of stuff. You can see why you would be hanging around with these guys.
I just think that wouldn't have been the first outing or the first bad thing they did with him, abducting that guy and robbing him and killing him. It would
No.
have escalated from something much smaller. He
Yeah.
would have had opportunities. I know it's not as simple as this sometimes, but he would have had opportunities to take a step back from that friendship or whatever. You know, they're clearly quite fine with like robbing. Maybe they'd like robbed a convenience store, or maybe they've done acted shiftily or made inappropriate comments or whatever. There would have been signs that these are not good people to hang around, and he still did.
But then if you don't know, if you're a young, if you're a
Yeah.
teenager, like, you know, I think he was 17 when he left home. He went to live with his aunt. His aunt had a job at this army base. He got a job there as well.
Oh, and
He's
he
got a
probably for the first
car.
time had like sense of community and
Yeah,
belonging or whatever. Of
yeah.
course. I just think all of these people are pieces of shit.
So Glenn's basically said that he was just the dummy with the car. He was just the one driving them around. He was never charged with the rape of Karen, but he was charged with all three murders. And he, to this day, his parole hearing was denied again in 2022. And he still denies taking part in the murders, although he does admit to driving them around and being there.
But he's only got vocal after they died. He was still scared of them even when they were in prison.
Yeah, he was scared of them. And but the thing is, though, he didn't want to be in prison as a snitch because he was saying that he could be killed in prison, he could be beat up, all this kind of stuff, you know. So he just took it, is what he said. And then now they're both dead, and he is trying to get out. He spent 50 years in prison. 50 years. He was 17. No, he was 19, I think, when he went to prison. And he spent, you know, all that time in prison. According to the parole board, he hasn't set a foot wrong in prison. But then they obviously look at the original crimes. Now, Kelsey Grammer has actually said that he forgives him because he feels that he wants to do that and he wants to be in control of that decision.
Of his emotions. Yeah. No, that's very mature.
But he says that he should never, ever be released. And he says for Karen's memory and the memory of the other ones, he should never be released. And Kelsey, along with the 19-year-old nurse, who is the wife of Winfred, they are the two that are really, really pushing to keep him in jail. So I'm going to read you a little bit from the letter that went to the Community Corrections Board that was drafted with Kelsey Grammer and his lawyer and the district attorney to ensure that Freddie Glenn was not released. And as I said, this happens every 4 to 5 years. So they basically say that they've been notified that Freddie Glenn has applied for placement in a community corrections facility, which basically that is not being released.
Like a open prison or like a less maximum. He's probably in maximum security now, so one that would allow him more freedom.
More freedom. The possibility that this inmate may be released from custody causes us great concern. Freddie Glenn and his co-defendant Michael Corbett terrorized the citizens of Colorado Springs between June the 19th, 1975 and July the 1st, 1975, Over 2 weeks, they robbed and killed 3 people in 3 separate despicable incidents. Even 42 years later, these murders stand out as examples of cruelty and depravity seldom seen in our community or elsewhere in Colorado. It is important to remember that Freddie Glenn is in a category of criminals that is extremely rare. Most homicides are situational, meaning that, but for the special circumstances which occurred at the time of that one homicide, a defendant generally poses little danger to others. Freddie Glenn and his confederates deliberately targeted multiple victims in separate incidents over a period of weeks. This total lack of respect for human life puts him into a very small and unique group. Then they go on to talk about the 3 murders, which we don't need to go into. But they basically said, in particular, Karen Grammer's kidnapping and death showed a complete and utter lack of respect for human life and decency.
I mean, imagine her last hours.
And they actually told her that they were going to let her go, supposedly. So she thought she was going to be let go if she just went along with it.
Oh, girl.
So the senior district attorney goes on to say, Freddie Glenn's actions earned him a special status as a cold-blooded and cruel killer. His actions were so extremely violent and devoid of conscience that he should not be released from custody. The defendant claims that he is remorseful for his actions, but the only way of measuring his character is his past behavior. The defendant proved that he is extremely dangerous and that he is capable of acts of depravity that shock the core of this community. Freddie Glenn is in relatively good health. He's only 61 years old. This was written in 2018. Freddie Glenn is a threat to any community he's released into if his request is granted. I question what facility is available to appropriately house the defendant if his request for relief is granted. What community corrections placement is there in Colorado that could properly supervise someone with this type of history? The most appropriate place for the defendant is to remain in prison. So you could just imagine, like, every year having to go through this and to justify it every single year. Just absolutely horrific, isn't it?
Too much. It's too much to have to do it all the time. Bless them.
So this is 2018, so he's now, what, 6 of 8? So he's like 68 now. He's still, 68 is not old. He's still able to come out. Now, Freddie Glenn went on to say that he had LSD and marijuana that day. He can't remember everything that happened, which may or may not be true. And he was a young man, and his life is ruined, and he spent 50 years in prison.
No, you know whose lives were ruined? The murder victims,
Yeah. It also calls into question, when is enough time in prison? Can people be rehabilitated? Should he be let out? What's the truth? I think it's such a difficult case because, and I was kind of getting a bit tongue-tied there because there's like so many elements of it. But at the end of the day, 3 people were killed and someone needs to serve for that. And 2 of them died in prison.
Not saying this influences anything. It changed the results or the outcomes. But obviously, and I don't think that, like, Kelsey Grammer was famous at the time of the murder, but he definitely is now. I'm sure the fact that they know that this case could potentially have a lot of eyes on it as a result of that, it definitely influences how much consideration they put in it. It's an extra element, isn't it? Like, if Kelsey Grammer is not happy with anything they decide to do with regard to this case, he has the potential to make it very public in a way that ordinary people do not. That's an added element, isn't it? Would he potentially have more chance of being released if the person writing those impact statements at his parole hearings wasn't a famous actor,
And had the money behind him?
Not sure. I'm not saying it does or not, but it's definitely going to be a consideration.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be irresponsible if it wasn't a consideration. Public attention, media attention.
And, he was found guilty of murdering 3 people.
He was going to have the death penalty, wasn't he?
He was going to have the death penalty. It was reduced to life in prison. He's up for parole. He's been up for parole for years, but each time it's denied. He was found guilty of murder. He should be in prison, but should you be let out of prison for killing someone? Should it be, if you killed someone, you shouldn't be up for parole ever.
Well, 3 people.
3 people. But he's denying it. He's denying
Well, do you know what I need?
it. What do you need?
Palate cleanser.
Oh, I got one.
Is it a Frasier quiz?
Yes!
Is it a Frasier quiz? Is it?
Well, I was actually going to do a Colorado Springs quiz, and then I researched it, and then I didn't know any of the answers, so I've gone with Frasier.
Oh, Jacques, sorry. All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Oh, am I going to be good or shit? Frasier's like one of those shows where I've seen it like ad hoc, not like from start to finish, you know? Because it's always on in the morning, isn't it? All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try really hard.
Okay. Are you ready? Okay, hold on. I'm going to move you to the side of my screen. Okay. You're going to know it. They're so easy. Right, let's go. If you get any of these wrong, don't get any wrong, Dean.
Nothing happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Kelsey Grammer played the character Dr. Frasier Crane for a total of 20 years across which 2 sitcoms? I'm going to give you 4 multiple choices. You know them.
I would like to say that it is Cheers and Frasier. Because for those of you who don't know, he was a regular in Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
And then got a spin-off show, Frasier.
So is the answer A, Cheers and Frasier?
Yes.
B, Taxi and Frasier? That's good. Yep. C, Seinfeld and Frasier? Or D, Cheers and Wings? You said A, Cheers and Frasier. Okay. That's right. Well done.
Correctamundo.
Next question. Which iconic villain has Kelsey Grammer voiced on The Simpsons since 1990?
Sideshow Bob.
Is it A, Fat Tony, B, Principal Skinner, C, Marge Simpson,
harsh villain,
or D, Sideshow Bob? What's your answer? Sideshow Bob?
Sideshow Bob.
That's correct. Okay, you ready? They're getting more difficult now. Well, maybe not. In the Marvel universe and the X-Men film series, which intellectual mutant does Kelsey Grammer portray?
Gonna need the options here.
Okay, is it A, Magneto, B, Cyclops, is it C, Beast, or is it D, Professor X? So it's in the Marvel universe and the X-Men film series. Which intellectual mutant does Kelsey Grammer?
I'm going to go Magneto, even though I said no.
Yeah?
Am I wrong?
You're wrong. The answer is Beast. Grammer played Dr. Hank McCoy, also known as Beast in X-Men, The Last Stand, and made a surprise return in the later films.
Okay. I just couldn't think of Frasier being called Beast, but anyways.
Okay. So 2 so far. Kelsey Grammer made history by being the first actor to be nominated for an Emmy for playing the same character on 3 different shows. Which was the 3rd show? Was it A, Friends, B, Becker, C, The Tortillas, or D, Wings?
Okay, Becker's a trick question because that has, who's the actor? Sam, who plays Sam. The name's gone from, Sam, the
bartender.
Yeah, who's that actor?
Ted Danson.
Ted Danson plays Becker, but that's a different character, so I don't think it's him. I'm gonna go Wings because you said it twice now.
The answer is Wings.
Yay!
Well done. Okay, last question. For his performance as the ruthless mayor, Tom Kane, in which Star's political drama did Grammer win a Golden Globe? Was it A, House of Cards, B, The Wire, C, Boss, or D, Succession?
Was he in House of Cards? Yeah, go ahead. House of Cards.
You sure? House of Cards?
No.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to...
No, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go for it.
The answer is Boss.
Never even heard of it.
The mayor of Chicago in Boss. So you've got 3 out of 5.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, that was lovely. Thank you so much.
Lovely, but also horrific.
We'll put all the show notes, the sources in the show notes, and we will be back soon with another episode. We love our sexy listeners. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.
Like this episode? Want more? Come visit me, Isla, at Criminally Good Books in the heart of York. We're an independent bookshop dedicated entirely to crime. From cosy mysteries to gritty thrillers, historical whodunits to juicy true crime. We've got signed editions, special gifts, and plenty of recommendations for your next obsession. We also host a bunch of awesome author events. Can't make it in person? Visit us online at criminallygoodbooks.co.uk.